Hello everyone and welcome to Padawan Unlimited, a Star Wars Unlimited trading card game podcast and YouTube channel. Before we begin, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and also it's incredibly motivating for me to be able to help support the community in this way. If you don't really follow the podcast, one of the things that might interest you is that once we get to 500 subscribers on the YouTube channel, I will be raffling off one 2024 convention exclusive collector pack to one lucky listener. So tune into the podcast if you haven't done so in order to understand how that's going to work. Today is going to be a market update video, pretty much catching up from the last one since June, where I last did it. It's going to be market update for Jump to Lightspeed, but primarily focused on Legends of the Force for serialized cards. There's a lot of content out there, a lot of resources just in terms of like market for like regular cards, hyperspaces, prestige cards, but this is a very specialized video for serialized cards and part of a kind of a thing that I've just been doing over the past couple months. I think it's really important, especially considering that this is important to have like this specialized kind of video, because I know people kind of think of this as like collection and also investing. See where we're at. Okay, so like I said, we're going to talk about a couple things. One thing I want to do is I want to give an update on the Jump to Lightspeed like average cost and talk about that for a little bit before I go into Legends of the Force. So I have collected a variety of other price points, probably 24 or so extra price points for Jump to Lightspeed, and I've derived the average sale price to be $370 USD. Last time I did this, there was about 105 price points that I got. So as you can see, there was a decrease. If you've been following my other videos, you'll see there's been a decrease, roughly 5.3% decrease since June of 2025. Again, some things I want to talk about. The data here is that I primarily use eBay, sometimes TCG Player if they provide a screenshot for the sale of the exact serialized card. I really also don't follow the Facebook stuff. eBay and TCG Player, for example, are just easy ways for me to understand, was this the actual price or was there a best offer? And then I could do some calculations based on like average reduction that people give for deals, whatever that might be. Either way, back in June with 105 price points, this was $391, which is kind of on my target where I thought this was going to be. I originally thought that Jump to Lightspeed serialized cards were going to go on average for $385. So it's interesting to see that there has been a slight decrease. It's still over $300. Jump to Lightspeed has remained pretty stable, I'll say, considering that there was another set of serialized cards that came out, and there's still a lot of sales that I've seen. Well, at least 24 that I've seen since June that I've been tracking. I think this is a strong indication of the health of the secondary market. Jump to Lightspeed has, for whatever reason, maintained pretty good prices. I think that, if you saw my last videos, it was really driven by more iconic ships, but suffice to say, it hasn't dropped by that much, even with the influx of new serialized cards. So people are gravitating to those collections. If you're trying to sell these cards on eBay, here's a good price point for you to start off at, just to see if people will bite. All right. I haven't bought anything for this price. I think a lot of this is also driven by just like, for example, the Executor card that sold for $1,500, still the highest that I've ever seen for a serialized card in Star Wars Unlimited. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in the Legends of the Force segment. Speaking of which, let's move on to Legends of the Force. So I started tracking this as soon as pre-sales started going up, mostly on eBay. And I did notice that there's a precipitous drop from Jump to Lightspeed prices to Legends of the Force. Now, I think there's a variety of reasons why this might be the case. I think that if we look at just Jump to Lightspeed was the first set that had Carbonite boxes. This is set number 2. I think there's actually more serialized cards here as well. There's a variety of like other reasons why this might be the case. Also, it's still pretty early, but I think people have really just learned their lesson. Like, you're not going to sell serialized cards because there's so many of them, really. You're not going to sell them for thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, I've seen people attempt to, and there are some cards that have gone for much higher than this. For example, and we'll talk about this in another couple minutes. There's a lot of useful cards here like Yaddle, for example, that are not going for much. And I bought an Oppo Rancisis card number 4, which is a really low serialized card, for only $175 USD. I just don't think there's a demand for a lot of these serialized cards at this point. Maybe this might go up, but I would seriously think this is still going to go down, considering that the market is still relatively fresh, and usually within the first 3 months you see that precipitous drop. So I think this will end up bottoming out closer to the 200 range, maybe 225, but below that I don't think that's going to be the case. Again, there's only 47 price points. I'm still collecting information as I refine the analysis, but this does give a view on where we think this is going to happen, where we think serialized cards are going to go into the future. From Jump to Lightspeed to here, it's almost over $100 average price reduction, but we'll see. The highest selling card that I've seen so far, right, and again, this is only on eBay. I'm sure there's probably more. If I missed others, please let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think, and if you can provide receipts, show me. But the most expensive card I've seen sell has been a Malik number 2, which is legendary card for Legend of the Force, for $650 USD. There was no or best offer. This is actually $650, and it's a high sale. Now, this is very different from the highest sale I saw for Jump to Lightspeed, like I mentioned, which was an Executor. I think it was number 12 or something like that, and it was $1,500. I think the market learned its lesson. You're not going to sell cards for over $1,000. Not at this point. Maybe, I guess if it's like Darth Vader, like number 2 or 1 or something like that. But I think this is safe to say this is high band, and the Malik card's not even that playable. I think it's just really more a nostalgic card. I think, because Malik is from Knights of the Old Republic, one of the main antagonists of that game. So we'll see. I think the second card that has been really driving a lot of higher sales, like $400 something, has been Anakin, the Champion of Mortis card. So if you get that one as a serialized card, I would keep that, because that seems to be selling really well. But let's move on to the low cards. And the lowest selling card I have seen so far has been a Priestesses of the Force 140 out of 250 for $97 USD. And I think this is where we're seeing the average go down a lot, because there's just a lot of cards here for Legends of the Force where they're just not really playable, and they're also not really well known. Like Priestess of the Force has been a very specific arc within the Clone Wars animated series. Like, you don't really see this. You don't know many people know what this character or what these series of characters does. So $97, whereas the Banshee, for example, the lowest I saw was a Banshee for like $140 USD. So this is where we're really seeing the dip in card prices. I think I saw Yaddle like really low for like only $100 something, $160. I'll have to look at the prices, but this is really what's depressing the average price of the cards. If we remove these, you'll probably see it bump up to closer to $300 in terms of like average price for card. But all these dinky like cards that are not really playable right now, but not really known, are really what's driving the average price down for Legends of the Force. I think Legends of the Force is still relatively strong. It just came out, right? But I know people who bought just as much, if not more, Carbonite boxes for Legends of the Force than Jump to Lightspeed, which could also be indication of that there's just, again, a flood of product in the environment and basic economics. When there's too much supply, when there's overflow or overabundant supply, the demand typically goes down because people get what they need, right? People are able to complete their collections. I think in a general sense, this is very good for the community in that people can have this like really cherished card, like, relatively easily, and be like, oh, I got this serialized card, I'm going to keep this. I know for me, I still have my 232 Executor, and that I'm never going to get rid of, because it's the first serialized card I've ever gotten in any card game. I just felt like I was winning a lot. I won the lottery, and I'm not going to get rid of it. So where do we go from here? Well, I think that if you look at the numbers, there's a pessimistic view that the prices are going to keep going down, and nothing's going to hold value, etc. And I think there's some merit to that, but we have to think about the headwinds that are affecting Star Wars Unlimited, and also just contextually speaking, where we are at with the game. Star Wars Limited just finished their first Galactic Championship, which by all metrics was a success. The market is still relatively small for Star Wars Unlimited, right? It just hit the mass market in terms of target within the last couple weeks, last month or so. I've been to 3 targets within the past month, 3 or 4, and I have yet to see these packs on the shelves. But I have seen people buying them. I've seen videos of people looking at these packs within Target and getting them. But again, you have to think about that. There's a lot of supply. There's a lot of demand within the community itself so far, but that community is still really small. I am still cautiously optimistic that a lot of these cards are still going to go up in value, or if not go up, maybe maintain value for a longer period of time. Star Wars Unlimited, FFG, they already planned up until at least set 12, right? So they're going to be running this card game for at least a couple more years. You have to think about the headwinds that are in place, right? Some people might be converting over to the new Gundam trading card game, Riftbound, which is the new League of Legends card game. Pre-sale just came up the other day, so there's already a lot of overlap there. People trying to maybe go to a different card game. These are all things you have to keep into context. Again, even though I'm cautiously optimistic that these will retain value, I think that a lot of these cards are going to be depressed in the meantime because of all these other factors that I mentioned. For me, I'm not really an investor. I just like to collect the cards so far. So I am ecstatic that the prices are actually pretty reasonable in a sense that you could feasibly get like serialized cards for everything at a not exorbitant price. Like, you're not paying thousands of dollars per card. You might pay $100, maybe $200, and over the course of time you could probably achieve like this really cool master set of serialized cards for all the prestige stuff, which I think is really cool for collectors specifically, maybe not so much for investors. Will we get to the point where it's like Pokemon? I don't know. I just, we'll see. We'll see. We don't have the data to kind of back that up yet, but Star Wars Unlimited's cards, non-prestige stuff, for example, is selling for a lot, especially the stuff that came out of the Galactic Championship and all these special promo cards. So again, there is a market out there for these cards, for Star Wars Unlimited's cards. Maybe not for serialized cards as much as we expect, but I think that's a personal opinion at this point. And with that, I'm going to end this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will continue to do these in the future. Please let me know what you think in the comments. And until next time, may the Force be with you.